welcome to Sophisticated Ignorance. I'm Nieema Simone.
No, I'm Steven.
And I'm Vixon J. What's up? We had a rough one, but we made it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part.
For the most part.
You breathing, right? That's all you're gonna get from me.
I don't know what's going on.
What?
It's been a rough week, son. Damn.
Has it been? So shall we?
Word of the week.
Right. There
Rough.
we go.
Rough. Bark, bark.
Let us know. Explain.
I mean, when you live the life of being booked and busy, it's cool to be booked, but the busy part really just
it catches up to you, huh?
Facts. Not even busy in the sense of like mixing. I'm not talking mixing now. I'm talking about
Not mix a lot.
like
Productive.
Like, productive. Work is coming in, and that's good. Like I'm getting the work in, but it's just like I'm a one-man operation outside of work. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that 5 to 9 shift. You gotta sleep and sometimes during that shift. So that's the part that's like I'm trying to find that balance and trying to be a person, trying to like be physically healthy and then get shit done, but then be out because I need some balance between being at home and being a person.
Sometimes you just gotta thug it out.
Word, you just gotta figure it out, son.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's why I'm so
balancing out.
I'm exhausted right now, but I'm like, I refuse to not live my life.
Like I have to go home and do more work after this
That's
because
usually how it goes. And even if I'm not physically working, I'm thinking and I'm writing things down to do within the next 3 weeks or a month. No, so for me, I have to plan things out like that. Especially with the way my schedule is now, I have to be like, okay, so in 3 weeks, this is what we're gonna do.
No, as an adult, you should be planning shit like that. Yeah, but take me back to hot boy summer when shit was sweet and I didn't have to do it at work. Oh,
well,
baby.
Did you have money in your pocket?
I mean, I had money, but you know how money goes. You know what I'm saying? Money comes, money goes, but you know what I'm saying? As long as there's a constant
Well, is
flow.
it all of this so that you can have another hot boy summer?
Hopefully. Cross fingers. Hot boy 2020. Let's see what happens. But no, I mean, having the work come in is good. It's just trying to keep up with the work. That's the challenge.
Trying to keep it with, like, what's the hardest part? Like being at your regular 9 to whatever,
well,
and then
being at the regular job and then going home to have enough energy to muster to work on the other stuff. Because the moment I like touch home is like my brain shuts off, my body shuts off.
Right. So it's like you have to retrain your body to be ready to do something.
I've been
else.
drinking coffee. I don't like coffee, but I get why people drink coffee.
I don't like coffee anymore. I need straight espresso.
But I can't be drinking no coffee at like 10 o'clock in the night.
No, definitely have your one in the morning if you can, and then have one like around 4:35. It should give you that spurt.
I don't think you're understanding. I don't want to drink the coffee to stay awake, but I need the coffee to stay awake so I can focus on my work.
And I just gave you a fucking solution. Drink it at 4:30.
All right. You don't know how you don't know my body.
I don't.
You don't understand my body.
But you had. I tried to help
That's
you
not
out
how my
just
body
now.
works.
I just tried to help.
No, and thank you for the help.
Or drink some water. Sometimes I say when you're really tired, you're dehydrated.
I big drink water at work. I got big ass mason jars of water.
You talking about work? You're saying you're not trying to drink coffee and caffeine after work.
The thing is, I don't like drinking coffee because I don't like the way I feel after coffee. My body's jittery. I'm like doing a Harlem Shake. I don't need that.
Yeah, you don't. You definitely don't.
And the thing is, like, I have to drink the coffee and then like laser focus on like coffee to me is like Adderall.
Oh.
That's not a good thing because it's drugs.
I got nothing for you.
Anyway,
that's crazy.
enough about my impending addictions. Words.
Impending addiction.
Y'all got words for us for the audience?
My word of the week, I guess, was no, not actually work. Well, I guess it is work, but not 9 to 5 work.
Not work.
Yeah, it's been like all the projects that I've been working on outside of work, and that's been keeping me busy. So that's been enjoyable because for a long period of time, outside of the 2 shows, I didn't really have anything else going on.
Dope.
And that was mainly because of me just not really being proactive with, searching to do those things. So with the new year starting, it's like I've just been trying to find as many projects that for me to handle as possible. So designing websites, helping other people with their own podcasts and things of that nature. So yeah, it's been it's really productive, busy last week. And then also I've like I've been able to find the balance of like doing little things here and there that, you know, I could decompress from when it doesn't involve work. So like I went to go see Birds of Prey, went to go eat, you know, so just doing some regular low maintenance shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it helps.
I'm also doing that too, but it's all about balance. So speaking of,
my word is this, bruh.
All right. That's not what
I think that's well, that is a word.
Bruh is technically a word. Not in the English.
It's an expression.
It's probably in the Urban Dictionary.
How much exclamation points after bruh?
It's just 3 dots.
Yikes. That's
See,
worse.
I can't use yikes.
That's worse.
Just, bruh.
The ellipses?
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Is everything good at home?
Bruh, and like everything else in the world is transpiring.
The ellipses is a sign for help. Big scream for help.
It's just been a week. Like, work's been, I only had 1 day off, I think. Yeah, I only had 1 day off. And I was working with corporate for the last 3 days.
Oh, the C word. Ugh. Corporate. Wow.
And today was my first day back in the shop that I manage. And it was just like...
Total chaos.
It was just like, what the fuck? So obviously I can't be gone for those many days.
Of course.
Like, I had people in charge who did well, but I come back and the phone ringing off the hook. Nieema, you there? Nieema. And I'm just like, okay. Then, you know, home is good. Mom is good. Sister's good. Everybody's good. Dating is what it is. We're good for the most part.
Yo.
What it is.
Yo.
We're good. We're good. You know,
and then you get mad when we react to something.
Bro,
you know what?
Just as she's skating by it, just skate by it.
I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go.
Dating is good. He's good.
It's green light.
We're good.
Okay.
Bruh.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
That's it.
That's the motto.
Cool.
And then it's just been a bruh kind of week. I'm fucking tired, like literally tired.
But hey, here it is. I mean, the audience listening now, y'all gonna hear this, you know, the week after or whatever.
Probably Monday.
But
today
tomorrow is going to be your birthday.
Yikes! Yes.
That's not supposed to be a yikes. That's supposed to be
yikes.
excitement.
I get excited about my birthday because everyone else gets excited about it because they know I don't like it.
But you were promoting. Okay, you know what?
Because being born on Valentine's Day is super fucking trash, and I don't think people understand. When they, oh my God, it's a love day. You probably would get a bunch of gifts. It's like, nah, that ain't how it works. And if you're dating somebody, you better hope they don't get fucking anxiety and just get scared. Like, it's Valentine's Day,
they treat
but
your
it's
shit like Christmas,
birthday, and I don't know what. And it's just like I've been really annoyed and stressed.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, like
it's not that difficult.
Right.
What do you mean?
Like you saying, they would be getting anxiety if you're dating somebody and they got to determine like what they're gonna do for Valentine's Day and your birthday. Like,
no, I mean
both of them.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, on social media, you already see niggas get nervous when it's just Valentine's Day for a regular chick. But now it's my birthday on top of that. Not saying that's what's happening, but you know, guys really get really anxious.
Well, social media puts the anxious or the anxiety.
Yeah, because I was like, when I thought about Valentine's Day when I was little, it was like somebody you had a crush on, or you want to tell somebody you like them, or you just want to give them little candies. Like, it was never that serious, and somehow it's very serious now.
It was serious back then for me.
Well, that's because of social media, and that's because now people, before, if only time you would see some shit is if you go to school, and yeah, and stupid little shit here and there. But back then, nobody really had money to be going all out for whoever you had a crush on or who you was dating. But now it's like you see, now what happens is you see the fucking celebrities doing Valentine's Day, and then regular folk, quote unquote regular folk, try to like outdo it or try to do some shit as close to that, and then that's when it becomes a fucking competition.
You see what Offset did for Cardi? You can't even give me that half of that shit.
Yeah, they be bugging.
Or what was it that Travis did for Kylie one year? She came home, all the roses in the floor and some shit like that. It's like, that's cool or whatever, but it's like
they have that kind of money. They live that lifestyle.
You live in a one bedroom.
Right.
I'm not flooding my one bedroom that I'm gonna have to clean up after.
Exactly, because they have people to clean that shit up.
Yeah, like there's
You're your maid.
Yeah, like there's ways you can show appreciation and showcase, but you don't have, like, I don't pay attention to none of that shit.
But people aren't creative enough, and they
well, if they're not creative enough, that means they usually don't care enough.
Not necessarily.
I don't think so.
Nah.
Just because you're not creative enough doesn't mean you care. It's just that that's not the type of way you express yourself.
You express yourself. That you gotta learn people love languages.
Facts.
Because some people don't even care about
I
it.
guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Because if you feeling anxiety about a day like that, because you're not creative enough.
It's not
But
even
you know
layers to a person, so there's ways to cater to them.
Yeah.
Without being so like,
people,
without holding that
people,
whole Valentine's Day over
but
your head.
if you know, not to cut you off, but if you know someone well enough, then you know what they want, and depending on your creativity, then you'll be able to cater to them. If they like something simple, you do something simple. You don't have to go over the top. You know what I'm saying? Other people may want to do something creative because they want to do something different, whatever, but that's just not how they're built. So they just do what they can.
Right. And then sometimes
the other party should at least appreciate for you doing what you can.
So do what you can, but make sure you keep that person in mind of what they like, because I talk about that in general when it comes to like dating and gift giving. Don't give me something you know I'm not going to be into. It's kind of like if you see somebody wearing the color red all the time and you give them something fucking purple and they be like, I don't like this, I'm not going to wear it. You can't get mad.
And that's where the caring part plays involved.
Not that it's caring, they try to do something different.
Yeah, but that's a level of caring. You gotta pay. If you care enough, you're going to pay attention to the little intricate details.
Sometimes you just feel like not even that. It sometimes has nothing to do with somebody not caring. It's literally them just thinking this is different. They don't like it, and it's like, I get it, but nah, they didn't like it.
My logic is complete.
Everybody think differently, but it doesn't mean what you're saying is wrong. Doesn't mean what I'm saying is wrong. Sometimes people really just don't know. And I'm realizing that. Like, some people like big creative things. Some people rather you just give me money.
Facts.
I'd rather something nice and cute and creative than you giving me a whole bunch of money. Because I'm like, what the fuck? All you got is money?
And then you get your shit for yourself. Don't bother me.
But that's the caring factor.
That's the love language factor. Because he might be used to just giving people money and stuff like that, and they happy with it towards. I'm like, actually, I wanted the roses in a 1-bedroom apartment. I would appreciate that. Other than the stack right here. Because no...
Well, what if he folds the stack like roses and then puts it on little sticks?
But then what you going to do after that?
But then he's going to give it to you and then you spend the roses.
What else is happening?
It's the same shit. It's just different presentation.
Yeah. What else
is happening?
I don't know what he's
But it's creativity. You see, it's festival for us.
Nah, still put the roses.
What's the next question?
Spray painting the dollars red or something.
The roses.
Who knows?
But then they're rendered useless.
I don't know, man. I'm not. As I said, by the time I listen to the show,
don't rely on Vixon's creativity.
Yeah, definitely do not.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I usually pay attention to whoever I'm dating, and then try to figure something that's within that realm. Right. And then women tend to be vocal about the things that they like, so it's like it kind of isn't difficult. So when those situations where like somebody will like give you something that's different, that's because motherfucker wasn't fucking paying attention. Like or they just didn't fucking care.
Oh, yeah, most niggas don't pay attention. Women pay attention more than...
Because women are very vocal about certain things. Even if it's not necessarily something that they would purchase for themselves, they'll mention it. It's like, oh, this is nice. Oh, look at this. It has nothing to do with whatever the fuck y'all be talking about. It would just be like a random thing. Oh, I saw this on Instagram. Okay, mental note. But motherfuckers don't care. They just be in the zone about all the other shit. And a lot of times motherfuckers be in relationships and doing shit for their partner, not even for the partner themselves, but for the people that's around them. Right. It's like, oh, homeboy got such and such this. I'm going to get her this. Mind you, those are two different women.
That's what I'm saying, too. Like
there's no...
Like, granted, it's really nice. It might be extravagant, but like you said, your girl might be really fucking simple. And she might be like, I don't want to... Like the video of Summer Walker, when London bought her all them bags and diamonds and jewelry, and she was just like,
That's nice.
That's nice. Because that's probably not the shit that she into.
I mean,
it's cute, but she didn't want that.
He should have known.
But he was probably doing...
Summer Walker doesn't strike me as the extravagant type.
He probably doing that shit for the sake of, she probably going to take videos and pictures, put it on Instagram, so I'm going to go viral or stupid shit like that.
So why don't you give it to one of your Instagram hoes and not her? I don't understand. All in all, end of the day, as I said on Instagram recently, just practice self-love. You know what I'm saying? Everyone gets caught up in the relationship aspects of Valentine's Day, but loving yourself and taking yourself out, which I'm doing, me personally, is just as important. So that's my message to people. Just, love yourself first.
What today's? My segues. Every time I get ready to say something.
Please tell me.
Yo, just so y'all know,
know,
Nieema crafts these episodes. I don't know what be going on. I don't know nothing. So when she when I mention her segue, it's because it should be left field.
Nieema,
and then
aka
it's like,
segue queen.
Yeah, she makes the best worst segues.
Segue queen over here. That's a nickname. Go on.
Well, I want to talk about spirituality today.
Oh, that's fun.
That wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad.
The devil be working. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say like ain't shit niggas or something. I don't know.
Or Black History or some shit. But yeah, go on.
Well, it is Black History. I totally forgot about that.
Wow.
We had a conversation about that at work.
How did that go?
They mentioned the.
Oh no, it wasn't like with the white people. So it was better conversation.
They mentioned one thing at work recently. I was like, okay. That's
no,
cool.
it was just like it was just like a basic conversation on how we feel about Black History Month and its actual legit origin and all this.
Yeah, at least had a conversation.
Yeah.
What happened with y'all? They just put up a picture of Martin Luther King or Malcolm X?
No, they did like some type of article based around like Black History, which I guess was cute, quote unquote. But that was probably the first time anyone said Black History during the month to anyone. But hey, that's
that's a topic for another
That's a whole
episode.
different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, spirituality. Let's talk about
Yes.
the Lord.
So, my birthday is coming up, and I've been reflecting a lot on just what I want this year to be. Sorry for the noise, guys. About what I want this year to be for me.
Yes.
And I was reading something one day, and they said you should start your morning off with something more positive. Whether you're reading something, or you get a journal, you write down a few affirmations, or whatever the case may be, you want to have throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a lot of times when I wake up, I'm either watching a movie while I get ready, or some kind of trap music. So I said, well, let me get back into what I grew up in. So I started listening to gospel music, at least when I first wake up, to put something a little bit more happy and soft and positive and uplifting in the morning. To start my morning off that way, you know. And it's
sorry for cutting you off. Even though a lot of people ain't fucking with Kanye right now, those two gospel albums slap.
Wait, hold on. Sunday service or Jesus is King?
Both of them. Both of them.
I would lean more towards Sunday service personally. Jesus is King.
Yeah,
is
that's closer
to.
Yeah, that's closer to gospel.
Not my cup of tea, and not to say
which one is closer to gospel.
Sunday service.
Sunday service. I like Sunday service more than Jesus is King, and I'm very biased because Kanye West, but I just not that type of conversation. Yes, carry on.
No, you couldn't finish.
No, it's just it's gonna get into a Kanye deep dive, and I don't have the time.
We can get back into that because I mean he's on a new.
He's on a new level. I don't know. It's it is beyond me, but
it's above me now.
It's above me now.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's in God's hands.
And figuratively. But yes, carry on, please. Your positive affirmations.
Oh yeah, so I've just been listening to more gospel, but like old school gospel that I grew up like singing in a choir and stuff like that. So like T.D. Jakes, Tamala Man.
The classics.
The classics.
Sunday is best.
Yes,
BET.
just having a good time. And it actually works. Like, this week's been crazy, so I've been very anxious. So incorporating that into my morning has definitely calmed me a little bit more.
Okay.
And I listen to it in the morning, maybe during the day. If it's just, like, really fucking crazy, I'm like, okay, let's go have a moment. Let's get it together. And then before I go to bed, to quiet my mind. Because I have a problem with going to bed. I suffer from insomnia now, which is crazy. So I'll be up all night and then listening to that for the past week kind of like simmons me down a little bit. It helps me.
That's nice.
Calm.
Yeah, Sarnia. I lived there all the time.
Oh my gosh. So what in your opinion is the difference between religion and spirituality?
Well, isn't it religion more so like the practice
religion
itself?
Is the actual entity. Like religion is the actual entity of these different practices of so religion is, Christianity, it's baptism, it's Judaism, it's Buddhism, it's all those different factions of different people that believe in their own God or entities or whatever the case may be. Spirituality is just more the essence or belief of a higher power, which I'm about. Okay, so here's the deal.
Because I feel like I teeter between them both because I do know the Bible. I went to Fordham University and that school was extremely Catholic, so you got to go through theology class.
Catholicism and stuff. That's religion. Spirituality is a personal thing where it's like you believe or you have a certain level of faith when it comes to whatever higher power you believe in.
Do you feel like that's more by the book?
It doesn't have to be.
Literally.
But people relate it to the book because that's how most people are introduced to spirituality, through religion. I don't know, at least for me. I grew up going to church, so for me, like, I would have not understood what spirituality meant if I didn't go to church and learned about it through the Bible and all that.
So do you feel like you teeter between the both, or do you feel like?
Oh no, I'm way team spirituality.
Okay.
Religion is, it goes all the way.
Because I go back and forth between the two, like trying to figure out like exactly.
And with religion, that's practice. Like, you have to practice religion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, spirituality, that's something that you either have or don't have, or you practice in the sense of, like, you kind of keep up with. But religion, like, you have to practice. Like, you have to read. You have to keep up with things. And
yeah, I feel like religion, in some form of way, like, gives you almost like a step-by-step, like, this is the things that you should be doing.
Right.
So you could practice our religion, as opposed to spirituality is more so of like a concept. Like, you should be believing in a higher power and bringing positivity into your life, as opposed to religion is like, if you do X, Y, and Z, good things should happen. Kind of, sort of.
I feel like spirituality sometimes it's the same thing. When you deal with karma. When you say that would you say karma is a part of spirituality, or more?
Karma
like
is a
religion?
belief.
It's a belief.
Yeah, karma is a belief that if you do good in the world, good things will come back,
But
and vice versa.
Yeah, but what is that more connected to?
I think that's more religion.
Religion,
Yeah.
right?
It's definitely because it's a concept that comes from.
Isn't that Buddhism?
Yeah, I believe so.
Let's use our smartphones to confirm. We don't want to be wrong.
I started to look into that as well.
Karma.
I really want to look into the afterlife, because
Oh,
I don't necessarily believe in heaven or hell.
Yeah.
sidebar.
Yeah, I started reading for that, so I get scared.
No, it is.
I don't believe. I feel you.
No, like when I was younger, I used to be afraid of death.
Same, like really afraid,
Like
scared.
I think it was more less afraid of death, and more like, me being asleep forever, or just seeing black forever. It's like, this shit is whack.
You know what triggered it?
I get those
Harmony
thoughts.
video.
I get those thoughts too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that was
especially when like people I may know of or family members pass. Because even though I may not have like a very strong connection with those people, then I start to think about the people I do have a strong connection with.
Correct.
And that thought process of like, God forbid the day my parents, leave this earth. It's like,
right. And you know what's gonna happen. It's not like one of those, like,
that's why the Kobe shit still got me fucked up, and the Nipsey shit.
Like a deep loss, right? You haven't experienced that yet, right?
Nah, not really. No.
I have, and it is like, it's weird how things seem normal, but it's kind of like the Matrix. You know how in the Matrix, dude was like, everything seems normal, but there's something in the back of your head that's like off.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it feels like when you like lose someone extremely close to you that you've grown up with and known for so long. It's like you obviously have to continue with life because that's how life works, but there's always a tinge of something there where either you like get a remnants of like a memory or something like that,
or you smell something.
Yeah, the smell memory. There's all this type of like little triggers that happen that kind of make you think of that person, and then it's just like for a second you kind of snap into that moment of like, oh yes, this person used to be here physically and now they're not. You know what I'm saying? And then as life is, you just kind of snap back to normal. You know what I'm saying? So I know for me at least that's happened a few times, and I think especially if it's in a family dynamic, you know what I'm saying, everyone deals with it differently. And you don't really like sit down. It's like, hey, so how's your day? Oh, how's your grief going? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not the type of conversation you're having, but you can only imagine how other people around you are affected by something similar. Like with the Kobe thing, everyone's taking it differently. Some people are mad, pissed, raged, sad, quiet, like don't know how to express it. Keep it pushing because they want to show face. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of ways that people deal with these with loss and spirituality, how they kind of tackle that, and especially after Kobe, everyone's like, "Yo, only live once, one life to live, gotta make it count and stuff like that," which is great, but that shouldn't be the only time that we think about that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? That should be an everyday thing, which ties back into spirituality.
So do you think that people of color need to be more in tune with their spirit and spirituality? Like, what do you think that'll help us as a people? Because dealing with mental health and everything else like that, do you think
I
that's
believe so.
important?
Yeah, it would take generations, but I believe so because the environments that we're not even the environment, America itself.
Yeah.
Because if you think about the time, even though you know, there's very few instances you could think about it, or, you know, we were too young. But if you look at the 90s and even the early 2000s, you never heard the term mental health. You never heard about anxiety. Now, every day, you have a new athlete or whoever talks about the anxiety that they deal with and their mental health issues. And these are people that are, you know, quote unquote, at the top of their position. So if somebody that's, you know, more fortunate to be living a lavish lifestyle, whatever, imagine what, you know, an everyday regular person is also dealing with. Because we all, regardless of where we are social economic wise, we all come from the same sort of environment. And that's something that crosses my mind a lot, is like, why doesn't America as a whole, I don't know what form, whether it's the government or science or whoever, why don't they realize the conditions that we live in is actually fucked up? Like, I wake up at God knows what time in the morning, go work somewhere for 8 to 9 plus hours, whether it's standing, sitting, things of that nature. Then I have somebody else that probably never meet a day in my life determine how much my worth is, only for me to get whatever amount of money I earn, and then I got to spend it on a whole bunch of shit. Some is properly priced, some is not priced, some shit is overpriced. Then I'm living in the conditions that I have to live in. Then you read about all the other things that's in the news, like, you know, they now, recently with the tenants, now the landlord has to pay for the broker's fee or shit like that. Imagine all those years of people that's been paying rent, and they got to deal with that shit. It's like, this is why I would note certain people and like what they have to do, and I'll make sure it's like, okay, if you have to sacrifice all of this because of a decision you made, like I'm gonna make sure I don't make those decisions, because then that, like, we have control, but we don't have control at the same time. Correct. And I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, so I pay very close attention to like people's decision making. Because I remember at a previous employer, there was a guy who worked the overnight shift, and he was like 40 plus years old, and he almost never could take a vacation because he had kids to feed. And it's like, while yes, you of course you love your children, but it's like, for the rest of God knows how long they are under his care, like, he can't take a day off. Like, I'm fortunate enough, if I don't feel like going to work tomorrow, matter of fact, I ain't going to work tomorrow, but if I don't feel like going to work, I can make that choice. Right. If I don't, you know, if I want to take a week off, I can make that choice. If, you know, I'm fortunate enough where I don't have to, even as a freelancer, I don't have to work with everybody, because I put myself in a position where if I don't make a certain amount of money, I will be fine. But there's a lot of people who don't have that choice. So you're constantly having to do things that, you know, we're all somewhat a slave to like money in a certain facet, and we're forced to do things. And that's just one facet of life. Imagine all the other shit when it comes to family dynamics. Imagine all the other shit when it comes to spouses and relationships, or when it comes to the environments that we live in. Because you could be a great individual doing everything you need to do, but when you fucking have to go home, you got to deal with, you know, certain type of individuals on the train, or certain type of individuals that live in your neighborhood. So it's like, with spirituality, I think if people were to like do some more research, understand, you know, where they should be, like, I think spirituality more so tells you like how you should focus your energy, because a lot of times we focus our energy on negative things, and then that's when we kind of lose our course and then do shit outside of our character, or make decisions that have a profound impact on us. And I feel like if people were to focus more on spirituality, they'll focus more on like the things that they can control, and that way they can make better decisions moving forward.
Right, like a moral compass in a sense. And to piggyback off what you're saying, because you were talking about like how, you know, how could the powers that be or the people on top make decisions for those, you know, at the bottom, quote unquote, just in the sense of like comparison. But then, you know, especially after this whole election with Trump and all that bullshit, I had to remember that, you know, we're in this New York bubble, like geographically, we're in this New York bubble, and it's very hard to see outside of that bubble because, you know, New York is just a huge conglomerate of things that keep us kind of focused on what's happening in front of us. But there are people who are 100 miles away that have a completely different perspective of life. You know what I'm saying? They live on farms. They got, like, they are the complete opposite of what we're going through, right? And as it ties into spirituality, I was thinking of the fact that there's two sides of it, right? So for us, our spirituality derives from the things that have been granted to us, or the things that we've worked towards, or the type of lifestyles that we create for ourselves, right? We rely on that spirituality, rely on that faith or that higher power to either look for guidance, or look for some type of direction or some type of peace. For people who probably live in another demographic or just have a different lifestyle or upbringing, you know what I'm saying? And you don't even have to bring it to like states away. You could be within your same community, right? You know what I'm saying? People benefit from privilege. People benefit from position. People benefit from all these things, and their level of spirituality might be completely different in the sense of like they've been granted things. So for them, it's like, all right, I'm thankful for all the things I've been granted, or thankful for all the things that I have. On the flip side of it, you have someone that may not have been granted all those things, and now their level of spirituality is like, I'm praying for guidance, or I'm praying for strength, or I'm praying for focus, or I'm praying for a direction that's going to help me get out of my depth. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Still spirituality, but just two different sides of it. How people, depending on how you've, been raised or been brought up, or how you've come into the world and kind of made something for yourself.
Yeah, and then also outside of New York is like religion is more of, it has a huger stronghold in the South in comparison to like other places like up north where it's way bigger cities. And honestly, I think in the bigger cities, like people don't even have time to go to church because they're working so much, as opposed to the South is like, they make their time. It's such an embedded thing in their culture. It's like that religion will always have more of a stronghold down there.
Which unfortunately, as religion stands, that's how some of the quote-unquote decisions government-wise are determined, because some people rely on their religion and their faith and their spirituality to determine how others should kind of live their lives moralistically. That's why you have all these politicians who are like, oh, well, God says right and
I was just about to say
stuff
that.
like that, abortion,
so you know what I'm saying, but that's religion. That's not spirituality. Yeah, for me, that's how I see it.
It definitely is. There's no confusion.
Is it the Catholic Church where you get married, but what do they call it? The father, whoever they are, they have to grant you your divorce or something like that? Like you have to go through the church to get your divorce?
Something to that effect. I don't know.
Something crazy like that. And I was like, I don't like this nigga. You're going to make me say that? Like, that's crazy, and I definitely object.
And that's just a microcosm of a lot of shit in America, is that a whole bunch of laws and beliefs are like hundreds of years old, and they just refuse to update to the current times.
iPhone comes out with a phone every fucking month. My nigga, you had the fucking Bill of Rights that was from 400 years ago. You don't think you want to update the text?
At all. Not at all.
We still talking ye old bill of...
Going back to the Black History Month thing. Going back to the Black History Month thing is like how you want future generations to really learn about black culture when in all the textbooks it's always slavery, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King,
George Washington Carver,
Rosa Parks, and that's it. Like there was only 5 black people in America back in the day, and that was it. So like every system has to catch up, because the younger individuals now, that's like one of the few benefits of technology. Well, one of the many is like now with technology, people are able to search and find information. Hopefully they find the correct information, but more people are finding more information, and they're like challenging back to all the old structures that were previously in place. The same with you see a lot of these companies are now trying to like change their work environment because motherfuckers is not tolerating that shit anymore. I'm only gonna be in here for a year and a half, 2 years tops. So if you want to maximize your employees' potential, you got to create an environment that you would at least hope your main goal will hopefully they stick around for more than 2 years. But if not, within the time that they're there, they're doing everything in their possible power to be beneficial to your company, because people are leaving. Because you're not gonna treat us the same way you treated our parents. Like I'm not gonna work for your company for like 20 plus years because I had a kid, and now I'm trying to create like this whole structure for them from them moving forward. It's like, nah, we out.
Well,
like, I want my vacation time out constantly. I want my play. I want to be paid, compensated well enough so I can have my play money, because I'm not going to be working for you for 45 plus hours a week and just shit. Yeah, like, nah.
Remind you, our parents had to work back then out of necessity. It's not like they had other options. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, yo, let me work and support my family. And, ooh, I like this little hobby. Let me go do that because I got the time. No, you got all these bills, all these mortgages.
But every generation has all those bills, because they were still.
But what I'm saying, the options were limited more back with lack of technology back then. You didn't have the options to like work by yourself from home or do all these other things that we have the privilege to do now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was saying, like, the technology was what provided, you know, information. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't even say it was a lack of options. I would say they just didn't know, because that was their only lifestyle to live. Right. Like, that's the quote unquote American dream.
Yeah, have a family, go to work, support your family, all that stuff. They didn't realize that there was more out there.
Yeah, that's why. And if you look at it, there's actually I feel like it's a conspiracy, because if you remember, like, if you watch certain TV shows or certain things of that nature, it'll be like the one family, like, oh no, you ain't got to go to college and things of that nature, and that's like, oh, you're not gonna be like them. My kid going to school. It's like you're asking somebody who's fucking 18 years old, who don't know shit, to make a decision that could have a profound impact, not only on them mentally, but financially.
Because unfortunately, that's how their parents treated them. So generational, and that's why you gotta break the curse.
Yeah.
Was there a certain point in your life where you decided, like, being more spiritual, more in tune with your higher self was something that you needed and wanted to do? I feel like there are points in our lives when we're just like, okay.
Well, unlike y'all too, I wasn't really raised in church. Like, my parents are, I honestly don't even know. Like, my parents were, well, they come from.
Did they go to church? Did your parents go to church?
Yes and no.
Or your mom, at least?
Yes and no. It'd be very inconsistent. My mother, not really, because she's been working since God knows how long. So, like, it just reached a point where her cooking food for the family on Sundays was more important than going to church.
Did y'all do at least the Easter?
Sometimes, but then after, I think probably about the age of 8 or 9. Like, before, my grandmother used to take me to church. By the time at 8 or 9, I just stopped going. Like, it wasn't for me. Right. And even the few times that I've been to Easter or things of that nature, like, the word never hit me the same way it may hit other people.
Or like the bars.
Yeah. They wasn't dishing it out like the way I want to.
Yeah, Jesus wasn't spitting those bars back then.
Yeah, like the piano solo wasn't it. Like,
word.
No, my church was
dry.
Yeah, you know, like, I know Alicia Keys would tear this shit up right now.
Come on, Jesus, do better.
But yeah, I feel like ever since then, well, outside of, I would say probably in my 20s, I've had concepts of spirituality without actually having a word to define it. Like, I've always just been on my own course. And I think it wasn't until, like, funny enough, I mean, this is the reason why he's my favorite rapper, but when J. Cole dropped his album 2014 Forest Hills Drive, that was like a very spiritual album without him mentioning, like, spiritual album. Like, it's very positive, very, like, you know, be confident in who you are as an individual. Like, everything will work out if you do things in a manner that creates happiness for you, which is a big thing in spirituality. It's like, whatever, because religion tells you, like, you need to do X, Y, and Z so you could be happy, or you could, you know, get to heaven per se. As opposed to spirituality is like, whatever it is that makes you happy, then you are going in the proper course.
Correct. What about you, Niemes?
At what point?
Yeah, the question I asked.
I feel like because I grew up in church, and then even in elementary school, we had a choir, and my 2nd and 3rd grade teacher was into church, and her brother was the pianist at their church. I was always surrounded by it. So I feel comfort in worship music, I should call it, like the gospel. I feel comfort in it. I feel comfort in the word. Going to church sometimes is good for me. Other times I just can't connect. And I don't know if I'm not connecting with the pastor or whoever. But I do feel something.
Right.
But I do know that religion isn't necessarily something that is for me.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, 1000%. For me, like, growing up in church was a love-hate relationship because, like, I think for me, like, I was kind of forced for the most part.
Yeah, you were
like,
forced.
as a kid, you don't have a choice.
You get older and it's like
church. Nah, I'm good. Be with these
going.
cartoons. Like,
and
no,
it plays into the factor with the technology thing, because then you get more information about how those churches are really, you know, just a form of business for the most part. The pastors are corrupt. Right. And a whole bunch of other shit that does play a factor as well.
But for me, I wasn't like, when I was younger, that wasn't like, I mean, you later learn about that stuff.
Yeah.
For the most part, depending on the denomination in the church or whatever.
Yeah,
but for me back then, it was just more like, all right, I'm going to church, going to Sunday school, learning about.
Oh, you have done Sunday school too?
Yeah. Yeah, no, going to Sunday school. Like, all that was cool because once again, I'm a kid. I'm interacting with other kids.
Did you get a church van?
No, I didn't have a church van. My church was like close to my house. But, I mean.
I be getting that damn van 6 a.m.
Facts. But no, for the most part, it's just like, you know, going to church was just like, all right, it's a communal thing, right? Because there's other people involved.
Yeah, it's like
it's like the community. I think the community and the family, familial aspect of church was the enjoyable part because it's like you grow up with these people and you're all connected by this faith, right? And that's the good part. That's the spirituality that fuels you up, especially, you know, as you kind of grow with people and they, you know, they nurture you and support you and all that stuff. That's a good feeling. That's just like the power of human connection, I feel, right? And it's translated through spirituality and faith. The part that I did not like about church was the people, too.
I know that part was coming.
Because people could be big hypocrites. And the thing is, you learn about the Bible and all these things, and then it's like, wait a minute, but you gossiping about Miss Jones just the other day.
Word.
So make it make sense. Are you a Christian or are you a demon? Because I can't decide. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, after realizing that people themselves have their flaws or whatever, especially when it comes to like, you know, preaching all this stuff and all these good things, but yet doing the opposite. And for me, I don't like hypocrites. So it's just like, all right, this whole church thing, and especially this old Caribbean folks, is like, all right, y'all already messy.
I think church in itself sometimes could just be very draining and just catty for no reason. It's like,
why,
are we here for the word? Or are we here to look at what Sister Franklin got on stage so you could talk about
it's called
her.
a contest.
And so you could talk about Sabrina because her dress is a little too short.
Right.
Or talk about somebody else because their shirt is a little bit
and
wrinkled.
And the judging.
Like.
Nah, I be judging sometimes with the short shit. At like funerals, like fam.
Oh,
yeah,
funerals is one thing.
It's a respect thing, yeah.
Right.
But I mean, they be if your dress is just a little bit up here, it's a problem.
Like who you trying to attract?
Funerals, shorties be dressed up like they going to the club.
I seen somebody go to a funeral with like one of those shirt dresses on, a white shirt dress. I'm like, that's kind of see through.
I mean, but there is the repast, so they probably trying to turn up. For the sake, for the spirit of the person who just
and they had some capes on, the Louboutin. I was just like, I don't think
that's mad inappropriate.
That's not it.
That's mad inappropriate.
That ain't it.
And then I remember we had one lady who.
How you even make that decision? I'm gonna kill him with it.
Wow. Pun intended.
Because
yeah, I'm gonna kill him with this one.
That's about society, though. People use the church and funerals and stuff like that to dress up and show out. Yeah, because they come to the shop all the time. Like, nah, I got a funeral to go to. You know, like beat my face.
How you getting your face beat for a funeral? This is wild.
Some lady said, "Yeah, I like my lashes. I hope they don't come off tonight." And some girl said, "Why would they come off? Because I'm going to my daughter's funeral."
Excuse me?
I was like, "Why would you put that on somebody?"
How do you sit there with a straight face and beat someone's face?
Moral of the story is
stop.
Who you trying to
catch? Church is okay. People are trash.
Who are you trying to catch at the funeral to be like, yo, my daughter just passed, but
my client
face
told
though.
me, she said the guy that I'm kind of talking to going to be there, but he don't know I'm showing up.
Ow?
And he be DMing me, but then when I see him in person and talk to him, he be kind of giving me the cold shoulder. So, you know, I'm going to show up and see what he do. This is a fucking wake.
If you try to slide in the DMs after your chick lost her daughter, you go straight to hell, don't pass go.
What? People are...
Just DM the devil and say, yo, bro, you got space?
And then people be like, no,
it's
why don't you go back to
church? It's lit.
Right.
Because even I was on the phone with my sister, she called me. And like we share titles so she could see the music I'm listening to. And she's like, you've been listening to such and such. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, you going back to church? I'm like, nah. I don't need to be in the house
you don't necessarily need to go to church to be spiritual.
To them.
I think that's, once again, because you're introduced to a level of spirituality as you go to church for most people. So they tied the two together, and that's not necessarily true.
Yeah. I'm good off of religion.
But the thing is,
I remember I was following this girl on social media, and she was, I believe she's lesbian, but she was unable to tell her mother her sexual orientation because her mother was so religious and so judgmental, and it used to break my heart because sometimes she would like post the text messages, and her mother, not in a rude way, but still it would come off rude, and her mother would basically be like, "Yo, I'ma pray that God takes this out of you."
Yuck.
That happened to my friend for a long time when she came out. Her grandmother was
like she would come with her girlfriend and be like, "Oh, she's just a friend." Can't even admit that this is somebody that she's dating because of how religion had basically brainwashed her mother.
Facts.
My friend got kicked out. Her grandmother disowned her because she grew up. Her grandmother raised her. Grandmother disowned her and everything. So I think after sophomore year in college, she was pretty much on her own until maybe like 4 or 5 years after that. And now they're good. She has a baby or whatever. So the grandmother's like really, really into it.
And the crazy shit is,
for a long time, she was just, her grandmother was like, yes, so I don't have to tell you. Because she was a deacon in the church or something like that. So she felt
that's the most shit I've ever in my church too. Scandals, girl.
The crazy shit is, you have parents like that, and then if the pastor get caught in a scandal, oh, Pastor Jones would never do such a thing.
Oh no, Pastor
Did you see
Jones
the thing
would.
with the pastor? He was on camera giving a girl head or something.
Oh
like
yes,
that?
you didn't see that viral?
I try not to watch the news.
No, it was on Twitter.
I don't really be on social media.
All right.
Like that.
Well, I know what you're talking about. It was a whole pastor getting his.
Did you just say you'll be on social media like that?
I really don't.
He was getting his Holy Cross, anointed by a patron of the church, and oh baby, she was on her knees praying very hard.
Yeah, that's absolutely news to me. Absolutely news to me.
This was back when, like December.
It was recent enough to where it's like, damn, B.
Yeah, because my hairstylist was telling me about it.
Oh yeah, it was all over
because she goes to church
webs.
in Long Island.
And
crazy. Something happened in her church, and then that happened too. So they was like talking about both of the things, like making jokes.
The biggest juicy scandal in my church was like the pastor ended up having a boyfriend, and I was just like, oh. That was
why are you laughing so hard?
Because especially for old Caribbean people, like you don't understand, like that shit blow, like that is
the whole mind blown.
Matrix is broken, life is broken.
No, I'm just like
no repair.
Him like. Now I got a boyfriend. Like,
crazy. Father Stevens. Well, I'm saying real names because who cares? Father Stevens is now dating somebody and they moved to an island and and money, and it's like,
I don't know why this picture.
Father Stevens was like, "Fuck this religion shit. I'm spiritual, my boo."
Exactly.
I was gonna take it way too far.
I mean, isn't that what we do though?
Like Hov said in Everything Is Love. My wife says that spiritual shit really worked.
Behind every great man is possibly another man holding him down. So.
I was not expecting that to go.
Oh, baby.
I gotta make a mental note of that one.
Spicy.
That's definitely gonna make it to the fucking Instagram. 47-minute mark. Cool.
Oh my
cool.
But yes, I mean, at the end of the day.
What?
At the end of the day, church and religion.
That's the spot.
Wowzers.
Do it in Lord's name.
Amen. Pun intended. But yes.
Hallelujah.
Yes, Lord.
Y'all fucking kill me, yo.
But yeah, no, I mean, especially when it comes to religion and stuff like that.
Lord,
people,
he cometh.
You're nasty.
I didn't even want to look at him. He said that.
All right, go on.
But yeah, no, people with religion and stuff like that, they get so caught up in the actual words and the structure of it that they lose. And this is why I don't like being preached to. Don't preach to me. Don't do that. Even preachers, don't preach to me.
Word, the motherfuckers that come on the train and the bus.
Right. Oh,
stop.
These MTA preachers? No. First of
I
all,
remember I was on the train.
Second of all, where's your credentials? Third of all, ma'am, you're screaming way too loud at 9 a.m.
I remember I was on the train, and it was this black lady that came on. I think I was leaving somewhere. So it was like rush hour. And this was on probably the 2 train. So I remember this black lady came on, she started preaching. And this was the only time I've allowed a white man while out. Dude was in the corner, and he let her get her shit off for a minute too. But she just kept going. Like usually they'll do like one train car, then the next stop they'll go to the next car. Mm-hmm. Nah, sis was giving the whole. She was giving them verses.
Bars.
Verses.
Word.
So Fam finally got fed up. He was like, "Look, We all just been working our ass off all fucking day long. Nobody wants to hear your fucking shit right now. Shut the fuck up. I was like, you know what, Chad?
Then he starts a slow clap.
Nobody said nothing to him. Nobody's like, yo, show respect. Nobody, nah. Because nobody want to hear that shit.
Shut up.
If I want to hear the word, I will go to an establishment that does so.
Or you be a real New Yorker and turn up your headphones and keep it like pushing. Hey, look, I don't have a problem with them preaching, as long as I have volume enough in my in my ears to drown them out.
And then my big thing on not fucking with religion like that is like they cherish the Bible or whatever it is to such a high regard, but if man is flawed and man apparently created the Bible, why would I follow that book?
When I was in theology, I used to always have those debates.
Well, the justification is that the Lord bestowed the word on man in order to write the book.
But it's been written over and over again. The Bible is full of
stories.
The Bible is full of stories, different stories from different people.
Right.
And they're written differently. Yeah. So it's like you don't even know if this is
true. That one man's perspective is not something that may apply to how I want to live my life.
Right. And keep in mind, there's mad verses of the Bible in the sense of King James and Old and New. So it's like, wait, isn't it supposed to be one? Why is there mad verses to this book?
Right.
I don't
understand. If we're keeping it in the book, you know, all that shit by white men.
What?
So,
I mean,
I always have a debate of, do you think that they use religion to pretty much influence slaves to be more obedient? Is that why black people are like the way they are now? Like older black people very into, you got to read the book and very much into religion because we go back to slavery.
Right.
That's how you make people obedient. It's the same construct in every facet.
Religion
same way your job would tell you, look, you only, like the shit that blew my mind one time, I remember at a previous employer, they was like, because my grandmother had passed away, they was like, oh, well, company policy is immediate family, you get like 5 days off, but other people, you only get 3 days off. I'm like, how are you going to tell me the value of somebody that's in my life? Because it wasn't even like, because immediate family is like father, mother, sister, brother, that was it. Everybody else, you get 3 days. So what happened if my aunt raised me? Or what happened if this
a guardian or some shit.
Yeah, so it's like, how are you going to validate? But it's the same way. Is that all these, institutions, they create these sets of laws and rules so that they can manipulate and control people. That's all it's about. Right. It's all about controlling people from a mental aspect.
But people have been misusing religion to enslave not just black people, mad people throughout history. Yeah. It's been a historical thing. You know
Look at all the cult shit that goes on.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wowzers.
I didn't even think about that when I thought about this when I seen this topic. Cults.
I mean, because we're talking about religion.
But usually,
is different.
But for the most part, when you watch any of those documentaries about cults, it's usually based on the foundation of religion.
Yeah.
Right.
Because those people usually already come from a religious background, or they were already mentally weak. So then, when they find something that quote unquote is strong enough to make them feel better about themselves, they just submit so willingly.
And what better way to influence somebody through a higher power, religion? A different type of spirituality. You know what I mean?
So, I've been thinking, how do you guys feel about people who call themselves, I guess, a healer? You ever heard that term?
Like a spiritual healer.
Yeah, like a spiritual guide or whoever they call themselves and stuff like that.
Like a Miss Cleo? Like a call me now type thing? Is that what you're talking about?
The fuck?
Yo, she was getting jerked. My coworker made me watch a video on like somebody on YouTube did like a whole like not documentary but basically like a documentary on Miss Cleo, but she was only getting paid a few $100s and whatever company that was banking off of her.
I mean,
and she got all the backlash.
She was just a face.
Yeah, and she wasn't really Jamaican.
I mean, all of them lies, all of them. But yeah, anyway,
I think I want to go see one.
A spiritual healer.
Are we talking about tarot reader? We're talking about the tarot cards.
What is it? What is it? I don't want to call it a service, but what is it that they technically provide?
A spiritual guide. So when I was reading up on her, it's kind of like based off of, I guess, the things she'll read you. You ever heard of Reiki? and like stuff like that. So when I went to school at Aveda, they taught us about chakras and third eyes and stuff like that. So she's very much into that, very much into crystals, what they mean, how they heal you, burning certain woods and stuff like that. So she uses that to kind of like read you, but kind of like read your spirit in a sense and help guide you in a way. Not tell you like your future and what's going to happen, but pretty much just tell you like this is what's going on within you, and this can be something that can happen from the way you're feeling about this, or you're feeling like this because of that, and kind of help you come more centered and one with yourself, and teach you how to not relax, but be okay with being more in tune with like your higher self and finding your higher self.
Okay.
As long as she keeps it real with you.
I haven't heard of like a fraudulent spiritual healer because it requires so much. It's not like religion where they could just repeat lines from a book and kind of manipulate it.
Niggas can pick up some rocks from the floor and be on some, yes, sister, rubbing this shit around you. Ooh, you got lots of fuck niggas in your life. Just get rid of them and spirit cured.
Nah, I've never heard.
I'm not saying that's a thing. I'm just saying people can't.
Yeah, it can be done.
Anything,
yeah, you can be done. But I feel like there's a more honest approach from those individuals. Like those people like really are so invested that
once again my sister does it, and she has to take certain classes, and there's levels to it, like literal levels. You have to go up a certain ladder and stuff like that. So it's not just like, all right, you
that's why I feel like it's harder for them to be fraudulent about it,
right? Unless you really know what you're talking about.
Because I think maybe like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, once I started going back to school, in my school, even though it was aesthetics, it was based on things more spiritual and healing from the earth and stuff like that, because everything was very organic, and that's just how they operate and work. So they taught us about crystals and things you can use it just for like the skin and the body and being more in tune with that, but then using that as well to help heal you and like relax your mind and help you think more clearly and stuff like that. So I'm like, maybe I want to see a spiritual.
I believe in them. I support them.
Yeah.
Even the job my sister works at, her boss, we've known her for like 5 years now. She's always been into that. And even like when I get sick, sometimes she'll bring me something. My sister's in-laws, if I get sick, the mom brings me back like what's called root water. So they get the root from the actual dirt and stuff in the lake back in Honduras, and she'll put it with the water into the thing, you drink it, and it actually helps. It's crazy, but it actually helps with hangovers and my acid reflux and all kinds of stuff.
Root water?
Yeah. It looks like a lake. It looks like you're drinking a lake.
Do we have to go take a trip to Honduras?
Probably, because she just gets a whole bunch and brings it back to us.
Just cut the middleman?
Yep.
Group team trip?
Yep.
All right.
Spooky, but we go.
Next pod is from Honduras.
She's in the country. She's in the country. We're trying to go in November.
All right. So November pod in Honduras.
Yeah. Good. But just to let you know, once we go up the plane, we gotta go to their side of the country, and you gotta get like a little boat, and boat kind of shaky.
Will we be able to pod? That's all I need to care about. We can't pod over there.
I can ask them again how the electricity set up.
Just ask one of the engineers to come with us. That's it.
I think it's gonna require more than electricity.
We'll figure it out. Come on, now. Spirit, let the spirit guide us.
The spirit.
Spirit's not gonna be on the mic.
You never know.
If it is, that's spooky. I don't want no parts of that one.
I don't know. They might have some quirky one-liners.
Right, really the spirit might guide through you and say some real
really
shit.
Take us to the next level.
Facts.
I'm with it. If that's the case, come on. Conjure up some shit.
Be sophisticated.
Conjure up some coins. How about that?
There you go.
Let's conjure that up. What water I gotta drink for that? Let me get 2 bottles. Just in case the first word don't work right.
Put the fucking sprinklers on that shit. Like a plum.
We're about to
sparkler.
fucking deep dive, bathe in that shit.
Siracu?
Let me get an IV.
Right to the vein?
Put that shit in my veins.
Word.
I want to feel it.
Came through dripping, drip, drip.
I need them coins. You see them bills?
Not the IV.
Drip, drip. That's the only drip I'm talking about 2020.
You guys leave me.
Yeah, because if you drink it, that eventually leaves your body.
Right.
I want it to stay.
Right. That shit needs to circulate through my blood.
Word. I want it to stay.
My goodness.
Fucking root water transplant.
Y'all so damn dumb.
I'm just saying, yo.
What are some things you guys use to center yourself when you feel like you're going off the map?
Center myself?
Center yourself, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I could do this better. But I feel like I think it's not just in the sense of spirituality. I think just in the sense of finding that peace. I think we all need to practice this a bit more. Just like disconnecting and decompressing before we go to sleep. Mm-hmm. I know I can certainly do that much more often. Yeah. After my nightly activities, I usually just relax and then just knock out. But I could probably just put the activities away or just whatever. The point is, I was about to get a little deep, but that's not the point here. The point is decompressing.
Decompress. So your thing is to
there's different ways of decompressing for some people.
Yes, I'm just saying you're talking about decompress, like pretty much just like even if it means turn off your cell phone at a certain
stuff like that.
Time and
exactly.
Give yourself at least 30 minutes just to lay there in the dark to fall asleep. That's one way you recenter yourself. How do you recenter yourself, Steven?
I don't think I really do. I think
you're really good at this though.
Yeah.
You just roll over.
No, not
Steven
really.
Is so chill. I just be like, how does he do it? Like,
yeah, how do you fall asleep? I wonder.
Well, now I've been using Headspace, even though I don't have a subscription, but they have like a little trial thing where you could play they play like some sound for like 30 minutes and I'll be gone.
Oh yeah, I have a Google Home that if you say like, "Hey Google, good night," it plays some like like a
fucking Pop Smoke gonna pop up on
all
my.
Right. If you are falling asleep,
and that's
to
why
music,
you're not centered.
Right.
That's the problem. That's
if
why
you
I
are
put
falling
my
asleep to
on.
Pop Smoke, you have different issues.
That's why I put my. First of all, I was falling asleep to Summer Walk. I'm like, all right, bitch, relax. Then I had.
She's the opposite of relax. She's mad. She's mad high strung.
Anyways.
But now I have my worship music to help me.
If you're knocking out to Roddy Rich, you need to reevaluate your life. I'm just saying, nobody should be knocking out to trap music. Like, do you realize that's a problem?
That's too much high energy. That's too much high
energy. The BPMs alone.
Mainly because the way my job is set up is high energy from the time I walk in to the time I leave.
So you need to do the total opposite, when you're not at work. So that's the issue.
Janae Aiko
I've been telling you this for years. You do too much.
I do.
We all do too much sometimes.
Yes. But with me, I don't think I've ever had to recenter myself because reading the 4 Agreements really talks about just, taking things as they are. So, and then also learning about, like, even though you want to be centered, there's going to be times where things don't go your way. So with taking things as they are, when things do get uncertain in my life, it's like, if I can control it, then I really don't give no energy to it. If it's something I can manipulate, then I could do what I can.
That's usually, I do that a lot too.
I can imagine.
As if I don't care.
I can imagine Steven just being in bed and just
like that meme.
And just knock out
like the meme with the dog that's surrounded by fire. Yeah. That's me, because it's like, okay, can I change this environment around me? No. Then if not, then why give energy to it?
If you're because the dog in flames, I'm the little boy giggling on the bus, like literally me just like.
Because it's like, why give energy? Why give energy to shit that I can't really control? Because then it becomes just a downward spiral, just negative shit. Mm-hmm. When usually people are already in a negative space, and then more shit compounds upon it. That's usually because they never just accept it for what it is. And a big thing that a quote I always like to say is like, everything in life is temporary, good, bad, everything. So it's like, I don't get too high on my good moments, and I don't get too down on my bad moments, because I know the next day or the next week or the next month, shit could change.
Right. So be a new fresh day of bullshit or blessings.
I do take that though. That's one thing I do remember when shit going crazy. Steven saying like it's temporary.
Yeah, I mean it's temporary.
All right.
That's how I try to balance things out. It's like I tell other friends that too. It's like, yo, this is gonna pass. Like, it's just for now. Like, I know shit seems to be crumbling around you, but like good shit is around the corner, and usually it is. It always is. Good shit is always like your life is not gonna constantly be a downward spiral. Forever.
It's not.
Forever.
But you have to know that people. Like
but you have to believe in that.
Yeah. That's the big thing, is that people don't know how to accept that.
And then once you accept it, you can work towards changing it. But if you keep pushing it, I hate it. It's like, okay.
It's like people that hate their job. Instead of trying to focus their energy on focusing on another job, they keep coming back to their job with negative energy. Right. It's like, all right, I already know the situation that I'm in is not conducive to who I am. So I'm going to come in, do whatever it is I fucking got to do between that time, and then, unfortunately, eventually I'm going to reach the point where I could leave. But a lot of people, they just keep that negative energy until they fucking get fired, or they do some extra shit because
Not
all that
shambles.
negative energy keeps building up into the shit where they start doing shit outside of their character.
Right.
When you could have just focused all that energy on something else. That, you know what, the job, yeah, it's shitty, but it's not as bad.
Right.
Could be worse.
Yeah, it definitely could be
and
worse.
And work towards something else.
Exactly.
That's it. Accept it and work towards something else.
If you could see it, then you could do it. And if you just believe in it, there's nothing to it.
My stomach just growled. If you can recommend one book for somebody to read.
The Four Agreements and the Fifth Agreement.
Mine is The Alchemist, of course. I do have the Four Agreements. I just haven't read it yet. It's somewhere in my bookshelf. I don't know where.
There is a book called The Something of Masters. Somebody read it a while back, and they Beyond the Masters or something like that. It talks about spirituality. It's not a fiction. It's a fictional book, but it's based off of like real metaphysical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Beyond the Masters, something like that.
Yeah, I highly recommend the Four Agreements because it
And
just talks about.
You said the 5 agreements.
And the Fifth Agreement. The Fifth Agreement, you don't necessarily have to read it, but it just kind of reinforces the Four Agreements and how you can actually apply it to your life.
Okay.
But the Four Agreements just basically is like, there's so many ways that people create negative energy, whether it's through themselves and the things that they do, the people around them, the environments around them, and it kind of just tells you and explains to you, it's like, look, like I just said, it's like, if you can't really change it, don't give it no energy. Like, people create a lot of poison in their heads based off of whatever it is. So you want to try to remove as much poison as possible. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be negative, because it could be things that's learned behavior based off of how your parents have raised you. But as you have grown as an adult, you've come to realize, like, those aren't the things that I want for myself as an individual. Mm-hmm. So it's learning to, it's about unlearning certain behaviors and then developing good habits that put you in a good mental state. Because I think a lot of times people just focus on, like, the physical attributes to certain things, or, you know, finances or whatever. It starts with the mental first, and then you could translate to everything else.
One, perspective is the most powerful tool that we can ever use. Everything's about perspective. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, the way your outlook and the way you see things around you is completely, I think that's the only thing that we have control over. That is so powerful that we don't tap into. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. The other thing is, the book I was talking about is called Many Lives, Many Masters.
Many Lives?
Many Lives, Many Masters. And that book is by Brian L. Weiss.
Nice.
So, yeah, get your books on. Read stuff, people. Yeah. Don't be the stereotype.
Yeah, just read anything. Just in general. Our people need to just read. It don't even need to be necessarily spirituality books. Just read.
Read the newspaper.
Period.
Read
There's so much information in books. I got a wish list of books that I need to start purchasing. But there's so much information that's out there, and yeah, I feel like self-education is the best form of education you could ever have. I've learned more from the Four Agreements that I've applied to my life than I learned in the 18 plus years that I've been in school.
Is
that waste man? Please.
Drake. So let's wrap this show up.
Word. Yeah, but in the sense of advice,
oh, that was your segue of wrapping the show up.
Wait, are we giving like final thoughts or?
Yeah.
No, you already gave the final thoughts.
Wait, what?
The books was the final thoughts.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, you know, in the sense of spirituality, it's a practice, not just a concept. So
definitely
practice.
Yeah. Practice just being a better person for yourself first.
Yeah, that helps.
Okay.
It does help. Because if you know you're trash, then
see, look at that. See, fucking, you couldn't leave it at the damn books.
Just be a better friend to yourself. And
be your own best friend.
Yeah, just be a better friend to yourself, and
best friends, period.
And try to educate yourself and want more for yourself. Because something that always crosses my mind is, like, people that grow up in certain environments, like, why don't they? Like, what I would
succumb to their environment.
Yeah, it's like, what is it that they're missing from a mental standpoint that never tells them, like, I want more for myself?
I don't know. Me and my sister was talking about it the other day, and I was growing up or whatever, and we just like, yo, like, shit could have been real different if we didn't have the type of mom or grandmother or uncle and stuff around us. Like, shit could have went south.
Well, right, and once again, that goes back to perspective and just access. Like, if you're used to certain things around you and you don't know anything outside of that, then you're going to get very comfortable in that bubble, right?
That's true.
With information, with experience, with going outside of that bubble and experiencing things, then you realize that not only is there more out there, but you deserve more, and you'll go after it.
I agree, but then at the same time, it's like, shit is fucked up.
Why?
I don't want to experience being in a fucked up position moving forward.
But there's depression, there's anxiety. People get crippled by those things. And
responsibility.
They can't see that way out.
When children are responsible for their siblings, that happens a whole lot.
Because it's like, I'm not in a fucked up position, but it's like, I want more for myself.
Of course.
And I just never understood the concept of like people that, grow up in certain environments and they kind of like you said, succumb to that environment, but they know the environment is fucked up.
It's the not believing part. It's the not accepting it and then working to change it.
And that's a personal thing. That's not just like like there could be a whole bunch of opportunities around them, but if they don't see that they're capable of going after those things or those opportunities are accessible, then of course they're not going to strive for it.
That's one thing I appreciate my family for. No matter where we grew up, and they always sent me and my sister further and further and further away from the neighborhood.
Right.
We went away for summers and stuff like that. Whereas other kids didn't get that.
My pops just stressed education, and education obviously for him was more the physical, like going to school, whatever. But for me, if I didn't decide that I was going to extend myself when it came to education, like if I didn't go upstate New York, I don't think I would have been as exposed to certain things as I was if I went to school in the city. Not to say city school is bad, but I think I need to physically step outside of my area.
I definitely think that going away to school probably would have benefited.
1,000%.
Same.
Yeah, I definitely think
I needed that for my own growth.
That's a whole nother episode when it comes to education for me.
Oh no, let's talk about it.
But that's our show, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We appreciate everybody, staying with us, listening, feedback, and all that good shit. You can catch the episode every Monday on all streaming platforms: SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play or Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, the huge iHeartRadio, all that good shit.
Somebody
Stitcher.
Screaming on the train, maybe, that could be a thing. Just scream the whole podcast on the train.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we should pay somebody to do that.
Yeah.
Rate and review us on Apple.
Please.
Follow us on social media. Everything's going to be tagged in the bio and the description per usual. And, can never forget, shout out Bianca.
Oh, congrats to Bianca too. She just
congratulations. Yeah.
Give her your coin. She's mad official now, son. She was already official before.
I could borrow money. She got
tax bracket elevated.
And maybe I'll have a fun story for you guys the next time we come back.
Right, because as you're listening, once again, it's before it's Valentine's Day, but after you listen, it'll be
my
after.
birthday's Valentine's Day. Steven's birthday is 2 days after, on the 16th. So Steven's birthday is going to be calm.
It's going to be a busy weekend for all of us.
It's All-Star weekend.
No, my shit is calm. I'm going to be in the crib, chilling.
Busy weekend for me, because I got gigs on gigs.
Actually, I do have work to do.
Send me like $50 for drinks.
All right.
All right, we're out of here. Bye.
How you go from $50 to $20?
Laters.
Cut off the mics.